Blair White was my introduction to trans women. I grew up very, very conservative and like really strict in the church. Went to church like 3, 4 times a week. Like before transitioning and before going to therapy and being more aware of myself, my sexuality, and all of those things. Blair White was my very first trans woman that I actually like seen and recognized and consumed the content of hers. And I was listening and I was like, okay, this is it kind of aligned with a lot of my previous beliefs that I grew up with. So it kind of made sense. It was like a gateway into understanding trans women. And then I started to see other trans women, and I quickly realized being black, it don't take long to realize a coon when you see one. But it's just so interesting because in those first probably it was maybe like a month or 2 or 3 months that went by before it clicked of what was really happening. And I was like, oh my God, like I can connect with her so much because like this makes sense. To me at that time, other trans women that I was seeing was much too radical, too far left, too extreme, and it wasn't making sense because I had so much internalized transphobia and so much internalized homophobia. Blair White felt like a comfort in the very beginning. And it's crazy to say that now because knowing what I know is like, girl. But that's what therapy was for. But I just thought that was really interesting because, God, that woman is so fucking problematic. But somehow that was my introduction to trans people. And probably, yeah, for those first 2 or 3 months, I was really watching a lot of her content. And then she started to say certain things, and I'm like, okay, I don't really like this. Let me look at some other people, and then my eyes were open. I put Blair White in the same notion as Candace Owens. Blair White, Candace Owens, and Uncle Ruckus. They all coons. But for any trans people or any people who just know who Blair White is, the fact that Blair White was my introduction to trans women, insane.